I thought I'd start the day by setting a bar high. Just a little thing for people to aim at. I've called the talk, very quickly, Innervation, and that isn't a typo. What I genuinely believe is that the greatest innovations over the next 50 years are going to come from the field of psychology more than technology. Now, many of you are probably familiar that Google runs a thing called, it's technically Alphabet, owns a thing called X. And it's run by a man. The aim of X is to come up with what they call moonshots. And a moonshot is something where you change some measure of something by an order of magnitude. And so you make something 10 times faster, you make something 10 times more efficient, you make something 10 times cheaper. Those are the things they believe qualify as real earth-changing innovations. It's run by a man called Astro Teller, who's the grandson of Edward Teller, who invented the hydrogen bomb. So you could say that 10 times innovations kind of run in the family there. My theory is that in many of these areas, we're actually running out of meaningful technological innovation, or some of it may be dangerous, and that actually we're running up against the laws of physics. It's going to become harder and harder. But psychological innovation, that's a different matter. Maybe you can't make something 10 times faster, but you can make it 10 times more enjoyable. And you can do it very easily, very quickly, and often at very, very low risk. Now, just to prove the 10 times thing is possible, I've got a lovely marketing example just to show you quickly. It's very, very easy to make a brilliant product 10 times worse by marketing it badly. I know you're all uncomfortable with that. Just accept the old Ludwig von Mises' point that there's no sensible distinction to be made between the value created in the restaurant by the man who cooks the food and the man who sweeps the floor. That the context in which we consume things is just as important to their value as the objective characteristics of the thing itself. Now, I always wanted an example of this. How does someone take a brilliant product and deliberately market it appallingly? And I thought, well, who on earth's going to do that? I've wanted a case study for years. And the answer, it turns out, is Australians. In particular, 2 Australian comedians from Melbourne who took the world's hottest musical star and then marketed him in the most atrocious way possible. Here goes.
Hello.
Hi.
Whee!
Peep shows. They have a pretty bad name, normally associated with lewd content, but by definition, they don't have to be.
So in an attempt to change that, we took one of the world's biggest performing artists, kept all his clothes on, and set up an Ed Sheeran peep show. Would anyone dare to believe what was written outside and come into our very dodgy looking venue?
How are you feeling? I don't really know what's going on, to be honest.
That was fair enough, because we dressed Hamish as a fairly shady-looking spruiker in charge of getting customers.
I got you Sheeran. Who wants some Sheeran?
All right, I can hear Hamish.
Do you think we'll get anyone?
I don't think we'll get anyone. It's going to be a brave soul.
I wouldn't come into, if there was a dude with a beard and a hat saying, like, come in and see this.
Ed was right. This was going to be tough.
You want to peep at Ed Sheeran for $2? Insurance. Do you want to peep at Ed Sheeran? Your loss. What do you reckon, big fella? Got Ed Sheeran in here. Beautiful ginger head man, sitting on a stool. What do you reckon? $2. Got Ed Sheeran just sitting on a stool in there. You want him? $2. $2 for a peep. Think about it. It's actually pretty good value.
Despite trying, we'd had a total lack of interest for over 50 minutes. It's been some time. We should have got you a more comfy chair, I think.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Hey, big fella, got all the Sheeran you need in there, $2.
What is it?
All the Ed Sheeran you need.
All the what?
Ed Sheeran.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
He's a singer. Yeah? Is that a yes? No? I think one of the big problems is people think Ed Sheeran's a code word for a new drug. How's it going? You guys like Ed Sheeran? $2. $2 for a 30-second peep. No, mate.
What, like, are they just saying no?
Yeah.
Category.
Dirt sheet peep. Dirt sheet peep. Here we go, $2.
Do you reckon we're pricing it too high, and that's why we're not getting people coming in?
I think $2 is pretty fair.
Here we go, boys. It's a Friday. Get you Ed Sheeran peep show. $2. Sitting on a stool, play you a song.
If someone actually does think it's a peep show, and I quickly give you the go-ahead to take off all your clothes, are you willing to do that?
I've been drinking a lot of beer recently.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You're not?
A couple of months ago, maybe, but
Yep.
yeah, I'm in shape. It's just the shape of a potato.
2 hours in, and Hamish was getting more desperate.
Ed Sheeran is literally sitting in there on the stage waiting for your $2.
We were feeling it as well, but just when we thought this had been a giant waste of everyone's time.
You guys like Ed Sheeran?
I love it.
You love Ed Sheeran? $2, peep show. Just got him sitting on stage in there.
Nah, you're lying.
Oh, $2.
Are
It's
you
gonna,
for real?
it's gonna cost you $2. You only get 30 seconds though. You wanna come in?
I don't believe you.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
We might be on here.
Here we go, Ed Sheeran peep show. He's there till midday. All right, your choice.
No, she did the smart thing and walked away.
Listen, if you guys want, I'm just saying, if you guys want to have a go, he's sitting in there by himself. It'll probably get busy later on. $2, 30 seconds. I mean, you both can come if you want. Just $2 a head. Everything's above board, I can assure you.
I gotta get
Nah, absolutely not. Like, I can't guarantee what Ed will do, but yeah, let's pay you $2.
And after 2 hours and 23 minutes, including some final hesitation, we finally found people brave enough to take a peek.
Did you guys go to peep shows a lot, or?
No, it'll be some kind of...
There you go, man. Keep your clothes on, stay on the seat, behave yourselves.
No.
Just listen to the announcement. Have a good one. Enjoy your peep.
Hello and welcome to the Peep Show. Your time will start in 5 seconds.
I'm actually a bit scared. Oh, it's...
Darling, I will be loving you till we're 70. Baby, my heart can still fall as hard at 23. And I'm thinking about how people fall in love.
Your time is finished. Thank you very much.
Now, the point's very simple. First of all, without trust, it doesn't matter how good your product is, no one will buy it. But if you can make something 10 times worse, why can't you make something 10 times better? And what I'm asking for is moonshot innovation, insights into human psychology, which enable something to become perceived as 10 times different, not necessarily by tinkering with the reality, but tinkering with the perception. If you think this is odd, nature worked out how to do this years before there were even humans. These are chilies. They're not actually hot, by the way. Did you know this? They don't burn you. You can eat all the chilies you like, and it's not actually doing your body any harm at all. The way the chili works, or capsaicin, as the active ingredient is called, is by innervation. It's very difficult to produce a plant that's hideously hot. The idea is, I think, to discourage parrots or insects from eating the fruit. The wrong kind of animal that doesn't cause pollination or spread the seeds or whatever. No, the way it works, it just tinkers with your perception so that everything else you eat feels a lot hotter than it really is. So there's nothing objectively hot about chilies. It's purely an innovation. It's purely a perceptual thing. And I believe 10 times innovation is really a lot easier than 10 times innovation. I'd argue the electronic cigarette is a 10 times innovation. One of the most interesting discoveries, after years spent fiddling around with patches and everything else, they discovered that smokers aren't really addicted to nicotine at all. In fact, the zero nicotine variant is hugely popular. What smokers have become addicted to psychologically is basically inhaling something pretty hot. So it hits, I think, the trigeminal nerve at the back of the throat. That's what the addiction is. So the trick to a 10 times innovation, look for things which are objectively similar but subjectively different, or vice versa. Now, I know that's a bit of a headache of a sentence. I apologize for it. But let me give you an example to make it clear. Uber isn't 10 times cheaper, 10 times faster to arrive than Addison Lee or radio cabs. What Uber did, and the original inventor, not the asshole who runs it now, the original inventor realized, was that if you had a map, you could make waiting for a cab 10 times less irritating. Simply because the human brain is calibrated to hate uncertainty. We're happier waiting for a train if there's a dot matrix display board on the platform. We're happier waiting for a train for 9 minutes if we know it's going to come in 9 minutes than waiting 2 minutes for a train in a state of uncertainty. Just one example. Here's another example of 10 times innovation. I was landing on an EasyJet plane. You know what it is when you get bused to the terminal? You don't get a proper air bridge. Instead, you've got to go by bus. And everybody goes, oh shit, it's a bus. Oh, flaming hell. I paid for this thing and they've shortchanged me with this bastard bus. And I've been doing this for years until one day an EasyJet pilot just said, when we landed, he suddenly stops the plane on an apron some distance from the airport. And I go, oh shit, it's going to be a bus. And he says, I've got some bad news and some good news. The bad news is there's a plane blocking the gate, so we haven't been able to get you an air bridge. The good news is that the bus takes you all the way next to passport control, so you won't have far to walk with your bags. I suddenly realized, that's always true, isn't it? But because no one had pointed out the upside, the brain had no way of reducing cognitive dissonance or annoyance by focusing on the upside, not the downside. What actually happened was everybody on the plane suddenly went, oh, I've got too heavy, I'm quite glad there's a bus. You can synthesize value out of absolutely nothing with a phrase. I find that fascinating. Next time you're on a plane and that happens, by the way, say loudly, it's ideal if you're with a passenger rather than just declaring it into outer space. Say loudly, actually, I'm quite glad there's a bus because they drive you all the way to passport control. Everybody within earshot will become 10 times happier. So there are extraordinary 10 times innovations, which I'd say actually probably are a mixture of psychology and good systems thinking. And part of this whole mission, we need to understand complex systems and complexity alongside human psychology. The delayed prescription probably reduces, maybe not 10 times, but it reduces by about 50 to 60% the number of antibiotics taken unnecessarily. You give a patient a prescription that's post-dated by 3 days, the vast majority don't bother checking them in. Don't worry, not long to go. Here's a 10 times one. Look at the government's success in getting opt-in pensions. About 90% of people accepted a pension when you opt in. Now, the standard explanation was this was just a choice architecture thing, that because you had to opt out, people went with the default. I think there's something much, much bigger which everybody's missed about this extraordinary 10 times success story, which is that basically nobody ever trusts the financial services industry. This has gone back for thousands and thousands of years. If you look at most Old Testament law, Islamic banking, etc., all of them are basically religious prescriptions to make the point that you can't trust bankers. But there's a way in which you can trust the financial service industry, which is if a group of interconnected people, such as the employees in a company, all have the same product from the same person. Why is that? Exactly the same reason why antelope, if those are antelope, I don't know, herd together. Okay? You only need one antelope to notice something wrong, and all of you know. That's why Captain Mannering... Okay, 1 minute. That's why Captain Mannering was essentially trusted, because all his customers knew each other, and he knew all of them. So you can create reputational feedback loops and connected groups of financial customers, which I would argue makes financial products and financial services 10 times more trustworthy. Why do people not like standing on trains? The vital psychological insights to understand here is, one, we don't accurately give reasons for our emotional states. Most of our decisions are taken emotionally, and we post-rationalize. There are a whole load of eccentric questions which we've never asked. Why do people mind standing on trains? Sometimes people choose to stand on half-empty trains. Is it because it's tiring? Is it because you feel overcharged and cheated because you paid for a seat? Is it because it's cognitively tiring not falling over? Could you create a really elegant standing space where people felt standing was a choice rather than a compromise? And in which case get people voluntarily to increase density on trains rather than making everything into a kind of, essentially creating a huge area of resentment. Now, I'm not saying there's an answer to this. There's a 10 times answer. The interesting thing is nobody's even asked the question. So I'll end with a very quick way. Let's just look very simply at a new definition of marketing, which totally broadens the creative potential for what you can do in marketing. This is a bit of amateur game theory. Essentially, people are honest when the future value of the relationship is perceived to outweigh the one-off value of cheating somebody. That's why before TripAdvisor, you could never trust a tourist restaurant, okay? They had no prospect of repeat business, so their best strategy was to rip off every individual customer. I would argue that we've evolved to find attractive, because it's a reliable sign of trustworthiness, any behavior which shows that you are long-term focused, a high probability of repeat long-term transaction. In romantic relationships, it's called an engagement ring. If you think about it, You know, you're probably, if you're buying this kind of thing and giving it away, you're probably not after a one-night stand. There are cheaper alternatives. It's a reliable signal of future intention. But so is Five Guys giving you the extra fries. You ask for a cup of fries, they fill the cup up to the top. That's something you'd only do if you were thinking of long-time horizons, not short. Putting advertising and marketing, I think, under that definition completely broadens the remit of what we can do and how we think about what we can do. So this is just one simple example of lessons from, for example, evolutionary thinking, which I think can really, really pay off in the world. Maybe people don't trust companies now because a short-term shareholder value-focused company is going to essentially be incentivized by its shareholders to engage in sociopathic behavior, which is unattractive to its customers. Very simple thing. I'll end on this. Behavioral science isn't new. It was spotted by Aesop. In fact, nearly all the ancients, Plato, Jesus, the lost sheep, for example, refer to extraordinary examples of insightful behavioral science. The mystery about all this is that it's been lost. It was described by Aesop, it was described by Plato, it was described by Jesus. I would argue it's explained by Darwin. If we can put these two things together, we've got the basis of a new 10 times science, which I think has more promise than the kind of nerdy stuff which is receiving millions of investment today. So that's me, and that's my high bar for the day.